Chapter 3, though, the murderer committed these crimes really for their own self-benefit. Like, that was it. And this is the only case where that happens, I would argue.
Chapter 3 is when you have an anime and someone writes in a filler arc in between two manga-based arcs. Yeah, it's a good arc, but man, the pacing just feels a little different, and the end result isn't exactly in tune with the rest of the show.
No, this was the only death where I was like... Or sorry, this is the only execution, I should say, that I was like, yeah, okay, yep. On to the next case.
So what do you think about the growing cult of Achua? Whenever, like, Kibo and Gonta were, like, brought in, I was starting to get a little worried. I'm like, one of my big pet peeves is kind of when that, like, weird hive cult mentality starts to form. And it doesn't help, but instead, like, divides people more. That scares me.
Well, it was really, so it was really cool because this was the first time we've had in a Danganronpa game factions taking place, and like the students being so divided like this. Like, what we're used to seeing is usually like small alliances here and there. But this is the first time where there's, like, been a very clear and definitive split. It's not an even split, of course. The student council that Angie creates is only comprised of 5 members.
I love how they call themselves the student council.
The student council, like, man, this is so twisted, and man, Angie is crazy.
She's crazy, but you could tell that she really didn't have, like, any malicious thoughts behind it. She just runs on a different tune.
That's
what's
interesting.
So weird about it.
Because I was suspicious of Angie for most of that, for most of the lead up to that case.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, she's like, why else do you start a cult? Like, she's got some hidden agenda here. But you know what? At the end of, by the end of chapter 3, it turns out she doesn't. She's literally just making a student council to, I guess, to protect everyone. Sure. Or for whatever reason she wants to justify. For Atua, who knows? Yeah, but I don't know. I was genuinely surprised when we find her body. I mean, not like when her doors are locked and everything. It's like, okay, she's dead. Like, that's a pretty clear giveaway.
Clear giveaway.
Everything leading up to that point, I was like, no, it can't be her. Like, I was almost half expecting someone else to be found in her room, and that she would be blamed and stuff. But no, it was her.
How do you feel about the motive for Chapter 3, the Necronomicon? If a character could have been brought back.
I really want to see Kaede revived, just so that Shuichi can be happy again. But
the instructions for the book were ridiculous. Because it almost makes it seem like one of those stand in the corner and, say the chant, and then if you hear someone tap on your shoulder, it's a ghost. It almost felt like one of those weird Japanese things that, oh no, the person doesn't really come back to life, but their spirit's there with you.
But
in Danganronpa, the possibilities are endless.
They are endless, because right away, the second that's introduced, you start, like, first off, if you played the second game, your mind right away thinks, wait a second, what if they bring back, I can't remember the character's name, the ultimate coach. But when they brought him back in the form of a robot, like, right away your mind thinks, okay, is that what Monokuma's going to do this time? Or are they in some other virtual reality where, people can be revived because they're not actually real? Is this real at all?
Are they going to make another AI version, just like in the first Danganronpa?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, right away you think, okay, if this is going to happen, it could actually happen. But how
we
it's
never
happen,
get to see it in action.
No, we don't.
It's sad. Angie dies. They discover her body. And it doesn't look impossible to figure out from there. Just, hey, who could have done it? But immediately they're like, no, let's not investigate. Let's hold a seance, summon her dead spirit, and ask her who was the murderer.
And it's great because right there and then, it should be pretty clear who's the murderer of this case.
It should have, but I won't lie, Will. I was super doubting him throughout a lot of it.
Same here. Like, I was totally thrown off by the seance as well. Oh, man. Yeah, that was... It just wasn't expected. I would say he did a good job of covering his tracks up until the end. But it still should have been damn obvious the whole time.
But, so the second murder occurs during the seance, and mind blown, I'm thinking, okay, well, the statue has to have like a mechanism in it. Maybe he didn't know about it. No, there's no blade. It didn't cut through the sheet. I'm like, oh, well, maybe someone was under the boards and did the cut. No, it's too dark. I'm like, well...
Right?
I don't know, game. I don't know who could have done this.
Yeah. And like I'll say right now, I think this is the weakest constructed case from like a gameplay standpoint. It's not the case itself, but the trial. Like
the trial is so much. Let's piece it together as we go along.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, do you have to make some leaps in judgment?
Absolutely. It's very slow. You're piecing it along with like the characters. Like at no point I think do you feel like you're ever like one step ahead. In
Not
fact,
the least.
Yeah. Like it feels like Shuichi is always one step ahead, but the player is not, which is a bit of a disconnect because in all the games usually you're on the same page with the protagonist. So with
I
this
feel like
case,
the other chapters do it well enough, but this chapter just, I don't know, like it felt different. It felt really different.
Yeah, this chapter was again good. It was a good case in its own right. But yeah, the trial itself and like you said, the leaps of the leaps of logic you have to take are just a little too much. I don't know, maybe in the previous games it would have fit better. Because I remember Danganronpa 2 had a couple of those. But the fact that Danganronpa V3 and the cases introduced so far and the trials so far have been so tight, this was sort of like an outlier. It's like, okay. Like it's still a good case, but in comparison, it's not as tight as the other ones. That said, it's I can't remember her name. Who's murdered.
Tenko, yes.
Yeah. She volunteers to be
the second victim.
Yeah, quite literally.
Which I'm glad Himiko survived, because if I wanted one to make it further in the story, it definitely wasn't Tenko.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was really kind of tired of Angie at that point too. And it feels so terrible to say that, because I mean, as characters, they weren't bad. But that case really didn't, or that chapter really didn't make them want me to have them in the story any longer.
I think it was a good payoff for the tension that the student council was creating, because you're thinking like, oh man, this is gonna blow up. It's gonna blow up, and all of a sudden, wait, Angie's dead, and now Tenko's dead. Like what was the student council doing?
What blew up? Nothing blew up.
Yeah,
it was really just a matter of coincidence. And a plan that... So Kyo does it. So Kyo does it because he's the one who plans the seance and all this stuff. And it makes sense afterwards. If he didn't do the second murder, he would have gotten away. There's no way to link him to it.
Yeah, but that's, best laid plans, right? That's where it all fell apart.
Oh, yeah. Pride cometh before the fall and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's, I don't think there's really much else to say about that. Like he set up a murder. His first attempt, it wasn't really an attempt.
Was caught setting it up.
Yeah.
Kills Angie, gets her body there, leaves evidence there. So already he's fucking up super hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he puts his plan into motion, which is a little weird now to think of it. And correct me if I'm wrong. Again, my memory might be hazy. But how was he planning on doing the seance without a previous murder? How is this ever going to be not a double murder?
I believe he was always going to assume that the Necronomicon would fail. So then they would just bring the spirit of the person that they were going to revive.
Ah, back through the seance. I understand.
Yeah,
okay.
it's like, Necronomicon failed. Well, we can still talk to Rantaro anyway. I have this really cool dog statue that weighs a ton.
Yeah, and like even
Which I never
before-
would have thought I'd say in a Danganronpa story. Oh, remember when that giant dog statue hid the fact that a girl was stabbed?
it was gonna happen at some point.
The idea of using the board as like a springboard and then pushing her up into the knife, that's... I felt some like... you know, like when someone like gets like hit in the balls really hard and you can kind of feel it, like empathetic pain?
Oh, I've seen that happen, yes.
Yeah, so when like you see like the graphic of how the knife went through the neck, like
Okay, and not to get too graphic, but like, can you imagine being in Tenko's position? Actually, maybe that did get a little graphic.
Can you scream with a knife in your throat? I don't think so. Oh, she died so fast. Oh my god, she died so fast.
Was it established that she died immediately?
Pretty much. Well, not immediately,
no,
but seconds after.
Yeah.
Enough to understood she was going to die and that... maybe she saved Himiko. Maybe she took some solace. We have to think she took solace in that.
Yeah, and like... Yeah, not to get too ahead of ourselves, but like, I love Himiko's character growth after this chapter. Or I should say because of this chapter. Like, it's just, it's amazing to see her become the character that she becomes. Like, she's still very reserved and stuff, but like, she grows out of her shell that she's hidden under for so long. She's hidden behind her magic. Yeah,
not only Himiko, but Maki gets like center stage as the sidekick this time around. Because Kaito gets really, really nervous and like goes away for the whole chapter, and you're thinking like, that's super suspicious. And you don't think it's, because he's scared of ghosts, which also felt very just off-putting for his character. Like, oh man, they're scared of ghosts, and then there's just like, wow, he just would not like contribute at all. But I really, really liked like him and Maki and Suichi like doing the training thing, like their like camaraderie building up.
Yeah, and we sort of talked about this like in our messages and stuff, but this is the first time where the main relationship of the game is focused on your sidekicks, which I thought was a nice we can't. I think it would have been wrong to set Shuichi up with someone else after Kaede. Like you can't top that. Yeah, so it was nice that they focused it on Maki. And Kaito, and the fact that they're both so headstrong people that neither of them would admit their feelings for each other.
I like how Maki eventually came to rely on Shuichi to be like the person around that she could actually talk to Kaito easier.
Yeah, like their chemistry in the game is just so on point. Like you can't help but not to care for these characters as a trio, and it just makes you wonder, God, when is something tragic gonna happen to one of them? Because it's gonna happen. It's Danganronpa.
What did you think of Kyo's sister personality, Game of Thrones relationship kind of thing?
Okay, first off, I always knew he was hiding something, and I always figured it was gonna be lipstick underneath that scarf. And lo and behold,
it was a girl underneath.
I did. I
thought a little bit too.
Yeah. Or it's anyway, I wasn't expecting him because this goes beyond split personality disorder. What Kyo has. But, like his sister is Kyo, but Kyo is still Kyo. Like. Kyo and his sister share the same body. Sorry, Kyo and his dead sister share Kyo's body.
Yeah.
There it is.
So Lumi was watching me do chapter 3, and she was like, this is some Code Veronica bullshit right here. Some Ashford family craziness.
What did you think of the execution?
It was super funny, and I'm just thinking like, Yokai watch. Yokai watch.
Okay, that's passable. Sure, let's stick with that.
The fact that she's cheering on as he's being like spirited like like his soul is being destroyed with purified salts. I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah.
That is funny.
Yeah, like, oh, man, also, like, I didn't care about Kyo. Like, I couldn't care about the guy that much, because he...
No, me either.
Like, he always felt like the type who was, like, in this for himself, and, like, the entire game he's like, oh, I can't wait to see who dies next, because it's gonna be beautiful.
To me, Kyo is the gambler from the first game.
Oh, Celestia?
Yeah, you know they're gonna be a culprit.
Yeah.
You just want to see how they do it.
Yeah. That's actually a very good point. Yeah. I cared about Celestia more, though.
I think she's a better character, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyo was just... Oh, man, I got the heebie-jeebies around that guy.
I always did like his contributions to the cases. Like, not his, but like the other ones whenever he would talk. I'm like, oh, okay, well, he's actually thinking.
Yeah, he's not dumb by any means. He definitely did
characters like Miyu and Kibo and Tenko and Himiko, whenever they would or Gonto, whenever they would contribute into a case, you're like, oh, stop talking.
I did it with magic. No, you degenerate male. Bugs. Gonto didn't do it. Bugs.
Oh man.
They were literally white noise.
That's robot persecution.
Yeah, you're right. Kibo really didn't have anything to contribute in any case. Which is weird because he's the robot. Actually, that's not true. He does contribute quite a bit in this case. See, okay, that was my biggest problem. Not problem, but like, I think it was too easy and out for case 3. The fact that Kibo just happened to have this like memory bank and took a still image of what happened. Or not what happened, but like basically the image that we needed to solve the case. I was why didn't you give that to us before, man? Like,
if every chapter he got a new upgrade, I would enjoy it more. But he gets like all the upgrades here, and then he gets all the upgrades at the end.
Yeah, and it's the fact that like they introduced it at the very end of the case. It's like, oh, by the way, I have a photo. Is this gonna be useful? Yeah, of course it's gonna be useful.
I have a Polaroid mouth, and I have flashlight eyes, and I can record onto a cassette tape.
Yeah, it's like, buddy, we're trying to solve a murder here. You don't think that would have been handy? I don't know. While we were investigating the case. Okay.
Or wannabe Astro Boy.
Yeah.
But with Kyo's death, we get that one scene with Kaito now that he's finally back in the story, and he's coughing up blood.
Yes.
No.
That is the way. Yeah, that's the way chapter 3 ends. It's pretty ominous. But before we go into chapter 4, I have to ask, what do you think of that red herring death just before chapter 3's investigation ends?
So, right when you're about to go to the case, you come across Kokichi's body in the hallway, tons of blood, it's playing the music, and he just lifts his head and's like, psych! I loved it. I was laughing so hard. Kokichi, you're the opposite of a cinnamon bun, but I still want to love you.
Yeah, what's the antithesis to a cinnamon bun?
He's a whoopee cushion, Will. Let's be honest. Kokichi is a whoopee cushion.
He's a whoopee cushion. You just can't help but love it. It sucks when you're on the receiving end, but like you still gotta love it at the end of the day. That's Kokichi. Kokichi's a whoopee cushion. Oh man, yeah, that's chapter 3. Anyway.